What is up, everybody? Dan Mortimer with eXp Realty, and we are now into June. So that means it's time for our monthly market update for Henderson and Las Vegas real estate markets. This is the data for May of 2025. For those that have been kind of following the market, we've seen a big slowdown in the number of transactions. We've been seeing inventory go up. I was a little surprised looking at some of these numbers, so let's go ahead and dive into the data, see what's going on. I'm not in my usual setup. I'm in a different corner of my office here, but let's go ahead and jump into it. So May 2025, the market snapshot. Getting into the median sale price first. Remember, this is the home sale right in the middle, so they don't do the average because big sales, little sales, they can skew the numbers a little bit. So the median sale price for a home in Henderson and Las Vegas in May of 2025 was $480,000. For those of you that follow this channel, followed my previous monthly market updates, that's actually the same price that we saw in April. It's a little bit down from the high that we saw in January, February, and March of $485,000, but I'm a little bit surprised that it stayed the same, just given the nature of the market, how much demand there's been, and just kind of an overall slowdown, a lot of sellers dropping prices right now. So $480,000, it's a 1.5% increase from last May of 2024, but again, when you compare it to April, it's flat. So no growth, no drop, stayed the same. Now getting into the condos and townhomes, the median sale price for a condo or townhome in Las Vegas was $307,000 in the month of May. That's 307, not 370. So $307,000. That's actually a 4.1% increase from last year and a 1.4% increase from last month. So again, kind of an interesting trend. We've really been seeing at all price points the demand and the number of buyers coming through slow down quite a bit. So I'm a little bit surprised to see that the median sale price has actually gone up for condos and townhomes and stayed flat with single family homes. And again, it could be that we're still seeing strong demand in that sector of the market, kind of in that entry level price, 600,000 and below. But I was a little bit surprised to see that both of those numbers, one stayed flat and one went up in May when we saw things really slow down. Now getting into the number of closed sales and the numbers of new listings, this is where we will see a little bit more of a change. The number of closed sales, we had 2,087 single family homes that closed sales in May of 2025. That's a 13.1% drop from last year and a 4% drop from the previous month. So that's where we're seeing a big drop off, but still 13.1%. Things were already pretty slow in 2024. We really saw things slow down in a big way, kind of the back half of 2024. So May is typically, as I've mentioned in my weekly updates, for those of you that follow this channel, April, May, June, July, August, that's kind of the stronger market where we see more buyer demand. School year's coming to an end. People are thinking about plans and moving and getting settled in the new spot before the new school year starts. So it's a little surprising to see that big of a drop, but a 4% drop compared to last month. Now getting into the condos and townhomes, we had 559 condos or townhomes that closed sales in May of 2025. That's a 19% drop from May of 2024, but it's a 2.8% increase over the previous month of April. So very interesting to see where the market's been a lot slower this year. To see a little bit of growth in the number of sales for condos and townhomes, it makes a lot of sense with the interest rates being higher. Buyers that maybe were considering a single family home went into a condo or a townhome because the prices were a little bit lower, just a little bit more of an affordable option for those people that not necessarily needed, but were very motivated to get into a home. And that's why we may see the closed sales increase. It could be that we see a shift from more single family homes into more of those condos and townhomes, depending on what happens with prices, depending on what happens with interest rates. There's just a little bit more flexibility in that regard, and you usually can find a condo or a townhome for a bit of a discount over what you get a single family home for. Now getting into the number of new listings, this is another number that kind of surprised me. On the single family market, we had 3,591 new listings hit the market just for single family homes in the month of May. That's a 15% increase from last May of 2024. 15% jump sounds like a lot. Really, you're talking 15%. That's about what, 3,300 homes roughly. No, more than that, about 3,200 homes roughly, give or take. But it's a 2% drop from last month. So again, kind of interesting to see, we've been seeing the inventory steadily going up over the last few months, but the number of new single family home listings actually dipped 2% in May compared to April of 2025. So an interesting shift. Now, getting into the condos and townhomes, we had 1,103 condos or townhomes listed on the market in May of 2025. That's a 21.6% increase from last May, and an 8.7% increase from April of 2025. So a lot more of an increase in the condos and townhomes. Again, this is probably a mix of people that were already planning on doing it. And I think we're getting a lot of sellers that are transitioning from maybe a condo or a townhome into a single family home, upsizing, getting into something a little bit bigger. So we're seeing more of that inventory hit the market. Good opportunity for condo townhome buyers for sure. Now, getting into the sold breakdown. So basically this section of the update is we break down the main ways that buyers are purchasing these homes, whether it be with cash or financing. So we had 626 of our sales in May were sold with cash. We had 1,160 that were sold with conventional financing. Another 604 were sold with FHA financing, and 272 were closed with VA financing. So pretty good breakdown. We're still seeing a strong percentage of buyers that are coming in with cash, but it does represent a smaller percentage of the market compared to previous months. A lot of cash buyers are people coming in from California, coming in from other markets. Maybe they sold a luxury home in their market where things are getting really, really pricey and they can get something cash out here in Las Vegas, because I know the prices out here have gone up quite a bit for people that have lived here for 10, 15, 20 years. You've seen the prices really shoot up. But when you compare it to a lot of areas in California, entry-level homes, even maybe a step up above entry-level homes, you're talking $1 million houses, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4 million. And, you can sell that home, pay off your mortgage, and get something cash out here for $600,000, $700,000, $800,000, or even less than that, and it's going to be a comparable home in a lot of areas. Now, as far as and then we also have a lot of investors that are coming in paying cash, still buying homes. A lot of them, there's still a lot of investment coming into the Las Vegas market. A lot of investors believe in this market. Maybe a lot of them are doing more of the buying a home, renting it out long-term, and then selling it, as opposed to buying a home and trying to flip it for a profit and sell it in the next 90 days. They're planning to hold for 5 to 7 years or even longer, collect rents, and then turn the property over as things continue to appreciate. But it is very interesting to see how our market has shifted. I was a little bit surprised that the number of new single-family home listings has gone down as opposed to going up. Because for those of you that follow my weekly market updates, we've been seeing that gap between the number of homes going under contract and the number of new listings. That's been pretty steadily at 300 to 400 homes every single week. So our inventory has definitely been growing. So it's a little interesting for me to see the number of new single family home listings actually dipping, although we do see the condos and townhomes have been going up, an 8.7% increase. Again, you're not talking about hundreds and hundreds of homes in that regard. You're talking about, maybe from 1,000 to 1,100, or even a smaller gap than that. But very interesting dynamic. I'm very curious to see, because we are now in the heart of what would typically be our peak buying season, where the most buyers are in the market, but a lot of people are still holding back. People that are not necessarily in a situation where they have to move, up against a lease, or they've completely outgrown their home, they need to get into something else. It'll be interesting to see, depending on what happens with the interest rates, if we see much of a peak buying season, or if things continue to stay flat and a little bit sluggish in the market. I know that again, with the inventory increasing and buyers being very limited, from a seller's perspective, really homes are still moving. the big challenge as a seller is you have to make your home stand out in every way possible, because you just have a lot more competition in this market than what we've been seeing the last several years. It used to be you put a home up on the market, you price it reasonably well, you do a decent, I see some photos and 3D tours or no 3D tours at all, but the photos just look very amateurish, very poorly done. Either the owner or their realtor took some photos with their iPhone and called it good, and they look terrible. The lighting's terrible. So, marketing your home, making it stand out as much as possible, especially when you think about how many buyers now are finding the home that they like initially online before scheduling a time to take a look at it in person, standing out with unique features of your home, things that made you fall in love with your home that another buyer would definitely be attracted to. And then of course, price. When you're competing against other homes, a lot of buyers are going to gravitate to the one that has the best price or has unique features that make it stand out. When the market gets tight like this and there aren't as many buyers out there, finding ways to stand out as much as possible are going to help you to sell before the competition does. And if we start to see the prices decline as opposed to appreciate or stay flat, price becomes an even bigger motivator for buyers, because you see one home sell and then the next one will sell a few $1,000s below that, and it starts kind of a downward trend. So being the first to go in your community or in your area or in your property type is extremely valuable, because if you don't, you start too high, you end up chasing the market down and selling for a lot less than you would have had you priced your home and set it up for success right away. So I hope you guys got some value out of this. I know this is kind of a longer video. I try to trim these update videos down a little bit, but a lot to get into with May. It'll be interesting to see what this trend looks like in June and as we get further into the summer months. We've definitely had the summer weather kick in this past week or so. It's been really hot after a lot of wind and rain and kind of nicer, cooler temperatures for Las Vegas. But summer is definitely here in full swing. Hope you guys enjoyed this. I will see you at the next one.